Arnold Adams directed East Carteret High School's Marching Mariners Band from 1967 to 1996, taking them to great heights in those 30 years, including the Rose Bowl in California and the Macy's Day Parade in New York. Here he tells Barbara Garrity-Blake about what he found when he first started the job. This interview took place on July 15, 2015, as part of the Smithsonian Institute's Hometown Teams exhibit at the Core Sound Waterfowl Museum on Harkers Island.
They had never really had a real band at East Carteret. There were 7 members that were taking band. That's what signed up. We started on those 7 members. I started a beginner class of 50, and the next year we were marching with 48, and we kind of went from there.
How did you get everybody up to speed so fast?
Got to do it. It gets real sad going to football games and basketball games and no band, and a record player playing for the majorettes, and you're just sitting there like, I'm director here. So we had to get something going.
Was there already a high interest in music, or did you have to kind of recruit and cultivate that interest?
Well, down east schools had never really ever had band. I went to Atlantic, and the only thing that ever happened in Atlantic was drummers, and they had some sticks they played on. They didn't know what a clarinet or a flute or any of that stuff really was. They called that long black thing with holes in it. And most of them knew what a trumpet was. They knew what drums were, but they didn't know what all the other stuff was. Didn't have too many students there. Smyrna, we had more students there, but they didn't have much either. And Harkers Island, I don't think they'd ever had a band there either. We played in the Atlantic auditorium there one time. That's where I had to have my classes. I had 2 trumpets and a drummer and a trombone. We were playing so much we blowed out one of the light bulbs, and the sound frequencies broke the light bulb. Of course, the program grew, and it got larger and larger and larger, and we added more and more directors, where I think I had 2 directors under me when I retired. East Carteret was kind of rough because that room was only made for 60 people. I put 250 in that little room, and they wouldn't give me any money for a band room. So I had to go get my band parents to come in there and yank all the risers out. With the risers, you couldn't put the 60 people in there, and I had to pack them double. So we took the risers out, repainted it, and refixed it ourselves so I could get all those kids in there. But they hadn't planned East Carteret to have 250 people going down the street. That was just not the plan. But I like big things. When I took over the job at East Carteret, the guy that had it the year before me, he said, "You're not going to teach these kids anything." He said, they don't even know what music is. He said, "I bought a stereo and put there in the band room so they could hear it, because they're not smart enough to understand it." So he took all the money that the Board of Education gave him and bought a record player. He didn't buy an instrument or music. He just bought him a record player. So he came back to tune the piano, and I think that particular year I was marching 40, I think, out there in the street. He said, "That's the most you're ever going to get. I don't believe you got 40 already, but that's unreal." He come back the next time. He didn't say nothing. I had 150 out there going down the street. He didn't say a word to me. And that was the last we ever talked. There was talent. There was talent in Beaufort. There was talent on the east side. There's talent here on the west side. It's just unreal, the talent that's in Carteret County in music.